Okay, welcome everybody to the Matter Management in Microsoft Teams webinar. We've got a lot of great folks here today. We're going to be talking about how the Office of General Counsel are using Microsoft Teams and leveraging LawToolBox, whether they're a corporate legal department or whether they're more on the government side of the house. So we're going to kick off by introducing the team. So I'm going to let our folks from Microsoft get us started here. Ngoc, if you want to introduce yourself.
My name's Ngoc Dinh. I am a customer success director at Microsoft for change management and adoption for the legal industry. So I've been dealing with a lot of law firms and how they are digitally transforming. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
I will go next. Hi, folks. My name is Rima Reyes. I'm actually part of Microsoft Teams Engineering. So I'm part of the engineers and developers that actually bring Microsoft Teams to you and actually make it possible. I actually own legal from a Teams integration perspective, which is why I'm here, being an awesome guest on this wonderful webinar. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. My name is Dasha, and I'm a customer success manager at LawToolBox, and I'll be walking you through the presentation of our product today.
All right, and I'll go last. My name is Carol-Lynn, and I am the Chief Operating Officer at LawToolBox, and I have been with the company for 23 years, been living and breathing legal tech, and I've also spent the last 10 years working closely with the Microsoft team when we launched our first integration in the modern Office 365 platform. So in the audience today, we have a variety of different folks. So from the standpoint of what our conversation is targeting, it's really the Office of General Counsel, attorneys, legal assistants, paralegals, and the IT folks that are helping them leverage their technology. But there will be conversation throughout about another important group that are key players in the Office of General Counsel, and that's their outside counsel in the litigation side of the house. So we'll be touching on how all of these different organizations are working together. And before we do that, we have a quick poll, and we'd love for you to take a moment. You'll have a few slides before you need to have voted, but how many times are you at the office? And I'm going to let Ngoc talk a little bit about modern collaboration and some of the topics that she's hearing from both law firm and Office of General Counsel clients as we get ready to dive into the presentation. So over to you, Ngoc.
Yes, thank you. This poll is actually very pertinent because I do work with the law firms, and basically they have hybrid work is here to stay. And what does that mean? It means that colleagues and clients are joining from the office and from home with the virtual workspace as a common ground. And so this is the new reality, and it forces us to embrace technologies that will be able to bridge both environments and allow for collaboration. So, and with so many solutions out there, we need to be mindful of which ones are actually beneficial and provide your team with seamless flexibility and efficiency. I know most of you have embraced Teams. Teams can do certain things, but there are certain things we can't do, such as the wonderful things that LawToolBox offers. So employees and your attorneys, they really want more streamlined technology solutions. So for the legal industry, LawToolBox's solutions with rule-based and automated calendaring are a game changer for getting everybody on the same page, and the calendar notifications and updates on court rules, it's not manual anymore. So LawToolBox is going to go show you what their solution is and how it seamlessly integrates with your current M365 stack. Thank you. And we're really excited to work together and partner together with them.
Thank you so much. So LawToolBox made a bet on Microsoft 10 years ago, and our vision was to bring our product to where people spend their day. And of course, today it's all about people spending their day in Outlook and Teams and wherever they are, at home, at the office, on the move. at their client's office, wherever they are. Our concept is bring it all to where they spend their day and leverage the data, the security, the collaboration that comes with using your Microsoft application and having that connect to all of the different products that that you might be using internally in your companies, as well as in the way that you interact with your outside counsel for that side of your office. So who are we? So we are one of 4 companies that has built out rules, and our rules are pretty interesting in that we refer to them as rules-based calendaring because it's really far more than just court deadlines. In fact, most of the online practice management platforms in the US are using our system to manage to provide their law firms and outside and corporate counsel with automated regulatory deadlines, administrative deadlines, as well as court deadlines. And we were actually founded 25 years ago as a Born in the Cloud. So I've been with the company for 23 of those 25. And one of the reasons that we've had so much success is that we're not a lift and shift. We're a native cloud based company that made a decision in the 2006 timeframe to start integrating and connecting to a lot of different legal applications in the market. And Microsoft learned a little bit about what we were doing in 2013, and they said, hey, why don't you be one of the very, very first legal applications and applications just all up to build to the Microsoft at the time, the Office 365 platform. We did that. We let go of traditional software, com add-ins, .msis, nothing gets installed, and we went all modern. 10 years ago, we could do that because we were born in the cloud in 1998. We were, in fact, challenged to be the second application in the world to do single sign-on as an Office 365 authentication process. And that was a kind of a gate for us to climb through in order to be part of the Microsoft platform, not just from the standpoint of enabling our apps inside of your M365 just for the corporate legal department, but also from the standpoint of adding us to your Microsoft invoice and living and breathing inside of your Office experience as basically a suite for lawyers, whether those are in law firms or corporate legal departments, or law firms and corporate legal departments working together. So built inside of the important secure application that your organizations have invested in, Microsoft 365, we have become an umbrella platform that connects to the systems that you need. And organizations don't need to think about, hey, can I consider a new cloud? We live in your tenant, and we help enable collaboration both with your internal clients that are not part of the legal department, that don't have access and shouldn't to the legal matters, but that are in your tenant, as well as some of the workspace sharing, basically automated and instant abilities to share with your outside counsel. So why don't, Dasha, if you don't mind, can you tell us what it looks like for us on the poll for the folks on the line today?
Absolutely. So the poll is really interesting. So most people have voted that 0 to 1 days spent at the office, which is, I think, the normal trend that we're seeing across the industry. And some folks are leaning towards maybe 1 to 2 days a week. So we only have 20% of our attendees coming into the office that frequently. And we have about 10% going in full time. So very, very low numbers for those frequent office visits. So thank you all for participating in the poll.
Thank you. Okay, so what did it mean when we decided to build a matter management platform for the offices of general counsel inside of Microsoft? It means that everything you do and everything you see on this screen is interconnected and allows you to leverage and capture all of the power of what comes to you with Microsoft. So the middle section here is what we're going to be spending time talking to you about today. We will talk a little bit about Outlook because we know people are more comfortable there, but we're going to talk a little bit also about the future and where where folks are headed. So we mentioned that the beauty is that you don't install it. You just simply enable us in your M365. Your IT folks do that for you. And then end users simply sign into their Office 365 and they have access to our application wherever they are, whether they're in Outlook or Teams or on a Mac. We know a lot of you have some end user, some of your endpoints are Macs. And our application on a Mac in Outlook or Teams, it's all identical, or on an iPhone or an Android and iPad. People can just log in securely and the IT shop doesn't need to worry about that. We're really excited that we made it onto Satya Nadella's keynote, where he highlighted our company from the standpoint of us as one of the very first Teams apps in the market that built to Microsoft Teams. In fact, we launched at the same time Microsoft Teams was launched, which is a pretty exciting thing for us. And also this last year, we were invited to the main Microsoft Build conference in front of 50,000 folks to unveil our Teams templates that you're going to see today. These are templatized teams that allow an Office of General Counsel to have a template for the commercial real estate group, a template that has all of not just files and folder structures and potentially linked to a DMS if you have a DMS, if you're not using Microsoft Teams and SharePoint for that. But it also brings together the apps that you need. So perhaps the commercial real estate team might need an MLS listing app. Maybe the litigation employment team has a LexisNexis or Thomson Reuters legal research app that gets automatically deployed in their team's templates, depending on what people need. So we're ready to dive into the demo now. Dasha's gonna take over here, and we're gonna look at what is a Microsoft 365 matter. How do we take Microsoft and create a matter management platform that lives inside of both Outlook and Teams?
Thank you, Carol-Lynn. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start our journey inside of Outlook. So in just a moment, you're going to see our Outlook environment, and that's where a lot of people get their emails coming from clients or outside counsel and collaborating in Outlook as a starting point. So LawToolBox can be pulled up in the right-hand corner, so you can see our add-in in the top right here, as well as you can launch to matters, dashboards, or generate quick reports. And right now we're currently looking at our matters list. So any different people within your organization will be able to see just the cases that they're relevant to them. And this allows you to see these cases in your Microsoft 365 environment and interchange new hires whenever staff leaves. All of these matters are constantly updated based on who is the relevant point of contact for it.
And so, for example, if I'm in the transactional department, I'm going to see a list of all of my, if I'm happening to work with leases, I'll see a list of all my leases that are coming up. If I'm in M&A, I might see 3 or 4 deals that are shared to me, and I just have access to leverage all of the different assets within the Microsoft platform that are related to that transactional matter. And it looks like this particular user might be doing a blend of a couple of things. I think I see a joint venture on the second matter list. I see a litigation matter at the top. Depending on who you are and what you do for the organization, you may have a different type of a report that's showing you all of the outside cases that you've got farmed out to your outside counsel where they're doing some of your litigation. So we like to look at our Office of General Counsel in 3 different groups. We've got the transactional team, we have the inside litigation team, and we have the team of folks that are managing the cases that have been farmed out to your outside counsel.
Absolutely. So next, what I want to show you is how we can actually work on a specific matter and get more of it and use Outlook as a launching pad for Teams. So when I click on the matter within LawToolBox, we can dive into a Teams meeting. So this allows us to either selectively call people who are working on this case or call everybody at once or schedule something in advance. as well as we can dive into a Teams chat. So imagine you get an email that comes into your inbox, and now you want to go and collaborate with your team members in the Teams environment. So the Teams chat allows us to jump right into the matter that's been created within the Teams environment. What I want to show you as well is how do we actually get to this point to where we see all of these cases, we have all of these different rules that the case may follow. And I'm just going to go ahead and click New Matter just to show you how we can start a new leases agreement for our Broadway location for a matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Next here. And on this screen is really the library of LawToolBox deadlines and the content that we're providing. And I'll let Carol-Lynn speak a little bit about that.
Okay, great. So we talked about 3 groups. We're about ready to set up a lease where we're going to see all these deadlines and reminders. But before we do that, let's just check out what we see here so that we can see what we've got for all the different groups of people. So LawToolBox creates matters that allow you to automate calendaring, any kind of calendaring you want. We have District of Columbia, and we'll see some of the trademark type deadlines. If we type in the word trademark, we see regulatory deadlines, we see TTAB deadlines. If we go to, if we type in the word customs and border, we see customs protection type deadlines. And we have universities that use us for teacher dismissals and office regulatory administrative proceedings. We have pre-litigation matters. We have real estate transactions. So whatever the timeline is, if you're not talking business formation and you're not talking M&A, you typically are driven by some regulatory administrative or some sort of timeline. So we, as part of our onboarding, we make sure that our Office of General Counsel folks see all the different timelines they need. We'll go ahead and see the leases scenario today. We've just created a lease, and we can identify who's working this lease, and we can add those folks, and that's going to allow them to have access to see all of the deadlines that are expiring related to upcoming leases and reviews that might be coming up. Let's go see some of the dates that might happen for an upcoming lease expiration. So same thing could happen with NDAs that are expiring and contracts that are getting negotiated. So we have all of the different timelines. And again, firms can make sure that they can see all of those different triggers. And we'll go ahead and add the lease expiration date. That's what everybody thinks of. And we're going to pick something out a year or so out in the future. And when we identify that expiration date, the system allows us to get whatever kind of reminders that we want to have coming up. Now, let's say we're working on an amendment for one of these leases. We can go and start adding documents and sharing and collaborating. All of these deadlines can be added to the Outlook calendar, or they can just be viewed inside of reports. So this is how we're able to generate deadlines based on a transactional matter. Let's pop into more of a litigation matter so we can see what it looks like for those cases that are being managed either internally, or if there's some very, very important case that you farmed outside, but you just want to see what are all the deadlines based on trial for that case, you can go populate those as well. So Dasha, I'll hand it over to you just to give a little overview on what this looks like, and then we'll dive into the collaboration aspect.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a matter within the California jurisdiction that we have set up, and we're tracking the progress of this case. And LawToolBox provides the local rules, the judge's rules, and any of the deadlines that may impact your case and its progression. So anytime we provide the deadlines, you'll see the link directly to the court authority that will take you to the source of what's actually governing this deadline. So that way, all of the active and passive users will be able to see exactly where these deadlines are coming from, as well as any amendments or changes that overrule these local rules or broader rules that may be impacting the case trajectory. This right here allows us to see all of the events that have been added to the calendar, and everyone who's working on this case has access to it, As I mentioned earlier, anytime there's changes of who is actually working on the case, by simply adding and removing users, everyone is exactly up to date on what's happening with this matter.
What is the source of truth for this joint venture, or this litigation matter, or this commercial real estate closing? Awesome. And I guess in a little while, we're going to talk about how we can link exhibits, documents, leases, agreements to timelines that are coming up, and perhaps people are editing those and we can see that real time. So we'll touch on that in a minute. Why don't we dive into the next portion of our presentation, where we're gonna look at matter management from a reporting standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and just hand it back over to you, Dasha, to just dive into the next section. So we're going to look at what I'd like to have us start with is, I'm an attorney and I want to know what's coming up on my, whatever types of cases I have. I want to see my dashboard, and then we can dive in to the reporting across all of our cases. So interestingly, when you think of, everybody's been living in Outlook for many, many years, and now everybody's starting to live in Teams, but what's been missing is reporting, right? You can't run, you see your deadlines in Outlook, that's where you want them, but you can't run a matter report of what's everything coming up for this case. I need to go sit down with the client. I want to show, I need a report showing me the entire history so that as I sit down with them, I have it all in front of me. So this next component, where we look at dashboards and reporting, not just for an attorney or the Office of General Counsel, all up based on practice type, matter type, and all of that. So well, maybe we can start out with the attorney dashboard there, Dasha.
Sure, absolutely. So you can access the dashboard for your attorneys within Outlook or Teams, wherever people spend their day. And I'm just quickly going to switch over my view to the dashboard. So this right here shows a list of all of the upcoming matters and deadlines that we have for the next week. So attorneys can quickly see all of the dates that they need to be aware of for the week, and that helps plan exactly what is on the plate for the agenda for today. And then the robust reporting coming for month-long report or 6-month report, or even an entire year, to see exactly where we stand, and can provide those same reports to our clients or to the co-counsel that we're working with. So this dashboard right here is the Outlook dashboard, and I'm just going to quickly show you the Teams environment. So in Teams, you can see LawToolBox as an app as well, so you can access it here, transition from any platform, whether it's your iPhone or your iPad. You can quickly open up each one of these applications and dive right in to see exactly where you left off. So here's that dashboard in the full screen Teams view. The other thing that I wanted to show is the reports that would be available. So we have a chatbot that you can interact with that allows you to see all of your upcoming deadlines or your recently worked on matters and any updates that have been done for those cases. And you can see that in the chat. So if I go over to the chat, you can see the bot has sent me my events for today. So if I ask simple commands, it provides those automated reports. And it can be within the app, within the Teams environment, or within the chat function of our Teams. Lastly, what I want to show is the broader reports that can be accessible for your team, whether it's a specific matter or a specific user or a specific client. We can generate Excel files with customizable reports for your users.
Excellent. So if I'm an attorney or I'm a legal assistant and I want to go look at what I can see, not just what Jean Contosa is working on, but maybe there's other team members, or maybe there's a practice group. So when I select in that pull down list, I can go pull information across any one of the different folks and have that information at my fingertip for any date range I choose. Then I can filter deeper using all of this amazing search functionality within the Microsoft stack that allows me to drill in and filter just to show me all of the in-person meetings or any of the meetings that the Office of General Counsel, any one of the members are having for any given week or day or month. It's all at everybody's fingertips based on how you choose to set up sharing and visibility to those cases and those matters on the transactional side. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take us to the next part of the presentation. So we talked about reporting And where we're headed next is to discuss the matter chats from Outlook and Teams and what we get inside of a Teams collaboration experience. And one of the things that this door opens when we're leveraging an enterprise platform like Microsoft is truly global platforms for managing and collaborating with different folks in different offices. It's not just about collaborating and having applications in one part of the world. When you're leveraging the Microsoft platform, everybody can work or whatever it is that they need to see. As we move forward, we're going to talk about the Matter Chat functionality and creating Teams templates. And we're going to do a quick poll and got what percentage of your internal communication regarding legal matters happens in Teams today? So 0%, 25 or less, 26 to 50, or more than half.
So I just want to highlight that the poll is a two-part. So we are looking to see, where you are today and where you think you're going to be in 2 years. So if you don't mind answering both of those, we'll review the poll results in just a moment.
It'll be really interesting. You've got a few minutes to give us your answers, and we'll wait and see. We're going to dive in and talk about Teams collaboration next.
What I really want to show you is how we can take Outlook to Teams and create that seamless transition for collaborating on those cases internally. So in my screen, you can see we have several matters already in here. We've created that Broadway lease. If we wanted to create a team for our Broadway lease, we're going to go ahead and generate a team so that way everyone who's shared on this case will automatically be part of that team, and it's going to follow the template that we've set up for our lease-based cases. So right here, you can see we can create a team whenever we're ready to collaborate. And right here, you can pick the different types of cases that we may be coming across.
Right, so this is that very exciting announcement that we made at the Microsoft Build conference, where everybody during an onboarding session, the legal department basically says these are the types of cases that we manage, and we want these templates, and these can be managed and changed, and they identify these are my channels that I want to see for these types of matters. These are the file structures if I'm using Microsoft natively, SharePoint and Teams. Or if I'm doing that with a DMS, then I'm going to point to their DMS, and we're not going to be doing the files and folder structures. And then importantly, what are the apps that this particular template needs to have automatically deployed? So traditionally, what corporate counsel and law firm have done is create intranets and create these types of sharing environments one at a time. What you're going to see now is how we automatically deploy the team. In some cases, depending on partners, we can inherit a team that has been created, but generally our Office of General Counsel clients and law firms are allowing LawToolBox to automatically deploy those. And so, Dasha, I'll let you go take it from here. So
perfect. So let's go ahead and pick the leases scenario for this matter, and we're going to go ahead and create this team. In just a moment, we're going to see our Teams application start flashing, so you can see it's turning red. And if I go to the Teams environment, we're going to see the Broadway lease start to unfold. So if I expand this team, it's going to start creating those channels that are automatically being populated by LawToolBox. So you can see we have several automatically populating, and we can change them to private or start communicating based on the different subsection that this particular channel goes to. So in this scenario, we see the LawToolBox app automatically unfolding. So if I go to the tab here, we're going to land right into this particular case. So this again allows people to collaborate within the Teams environment on their upcoming deadlines within the LawToolBox environment, as well as collaborate and use all of the native Teams functionality.
And can we see the calendar view of this? Because I always love seeing the idea that, hey, I've got my matter calendar for this Broadway lease.
This right here brings the Teams calendar together. So again, everyone who's working on the case can see that mutual calendar that we share. So this again is going to be available within the LawToolBox environment. You can go to the calendar view here and see the same appointments. So we can see this right here.
conceptually, we've got some really cool links going on. I know we're going to dive into a plan that we've prepared to have Rima show, and we won't jump into the summary judgment plan, but as if you were to point to that summary judgment plan, that is a hyperlink to a plan. So, your outside counsel that are using, and, hopefully about half of your outside counsel law firms, you might have 6 or 10 or 20, are using LawToolBox to automatically, as they move into M365 and start to leverage teams, they're implementing our solution. And that's a link to a plan in Planner that allows everybody to collaborate. So we'll go look at that in a minute. We see a link to join a Teams meeting. And then we also see the draft summary judgment document. So whether this came from a DMS or whether you're using SharePoint in Teams, we're going to dive into that here in a few minutes. This is, when you're looking at your calendar in Teams, it's the same thing as your calendar in Outlook. It just has a bunch of extra things. So thank you for sharing that, Dasha. I'll hand it back over to you. I just wanted to highlight those links.
Yeah, thanks, Carol-Lynn. So this is a perfect segue into diving deeper into the team's collaboration. So let me go back to my matter that we have created here, and I'm going to look at our construction case. So I'm going to go to the General tab, and here is where you can start communicating with your team members. Again, as I mentioned earlier, from Outlook, we can jump into the Teams chat whenever we receive an email. So we can start wherever application we're using at the moment and land in the same place to communicate. So here I can ask specific team members to include drafts or give us updates.
And that way, when you get an email that has 17 attorneys on it, outside, inside counsel, and somebody's talking about a draft document or an expert that they're thinking about hiring that's an engineer, you can have that conversation in the matter, and you're not wasting valuable hours, and your outside counsel aren't wasting valuable hours when they're chatting inside of a matter, and eliminating the use of Outlook email and everybody having to power through all of that. And so we can see folks will be writing back here in just a moment. And that's all of this information is happening in the appropriate channel within the matter, so that as a new attorney in the Office of General Counsel gets involved in, managing a lease, they're not going to miss it, and they can have conversations about, some big changes that are going to have some big financial implications as they're, altering that agreement and making some big decisions. So let's dive into the next piece that brings our Microsoft team members into taking a look at the planner experience.
So what I wanted to show before we switch over the screen sharing is, like you saw earlier on a calendar invite, you saw the documents, the plans, everything that was included here. And you can see we have our closing date for this matter. And this closing plans and tasks is going to take us to the tab within the Teams environment to collaborate again on that particular section.
So when we think about an M365 matter, we're going to see a dashboard here in a minute after we look at the plan, where we have a matter dashboard that has all the files, all of the conversations, all of the upcoming meetings that are happening at specific times and deadlines or reminders. But we're also leveraging Planner, and we're doing it natively, and we're leveraging it inside of wherever people are on their iPhone, in Outlook, in Teams, inside of the LawToolBox deadlines that are getting automatically generated. So I'm gonna.
Hey.
All right, Dasha, dive us into the planner piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna show you exactly where we just left off, and I'll give it to Rima in just a moment to talk. But where we ended is the closing plan and task has been added to a deadline that's coming up a few months down the road. And whenever we access this, it automatically launches that to the tasks. So whether, again, you're looking at your Outlook calendar and want to see where your team members are, you can always click on this link and it's going to take you directly to this tasks panel view. So Rima, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about what we're looking at here, we can dive a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Microsoft Planner is a service that's part of Microsoft 365, which you get for free. Here, it's all part of Teams. It's all part of sort of this entire environment that you have here. And this service is really unique because it allows you to collaborate on tasks. So things that a group of people are working on or working towards regarding deadlines or dates or things that you have to sort of hit, right? What's really unique about Planner is that you can create a task and you can manage it with other folks. And then once you set that deadline, it'll automatically remind you to say, hey, that deadline's coming up, or hey, it's due today, or hey, you've missed your deadline. So that's really helpful, especially for me. I know all of us always have like a ton of tasks that we have to complete, or a ton of things that, groups of folks are working on or working towards. So having that automatic reminder is incredibly helpful, because then I don't have to do it, right? I don't have to put it in my calendar to remind myself. It does it for you, which is really, really cool. So just to kind of also level set a little bit about geography here, about what we're looking at. So just to let folks know, on the left-hand side, we've got this app bar, which has the activity, the chat, Teams, your calendar. That's what we call the app bar. And then directly to the right of that, we have something called the left rail. The left rail will change depending on what you're choosing the app bar. So right now we're in the Teams section. So what you see are Teams and channels. And then to the right of that, we've got this main stage. So this is really kind of where all you're doing all your productive work in here. That's where all the planner board sits. And you can see at the top, we've got the planner board named closing tasks. And that's what we call a tab. So right up top there, we see posts, files, LawToolBox, closing tasks. That's what we call a tab. When we go a little bit deeper in that main stage, we've got some buckets. So you can see we've got to do, JV Smith construction and scope. That's what we call a bucket. And then obviously each individual square is a task. So I'll pause there. I don't know if there's, hopefully that's a good way to kind of start. Yes, and Dasha, thank you for opening up a task. So what's really nice about this task view is that we've got a lot of key information in a relatively great set of real estate. So up at the top, we have the task title, which you can change, at any time. Then we have the ability to add people to be assigned to the task. So right now we can see Kate Yunkin is assigned, but you can assign more than one person. And then, yeah, thank you. And then right below that, you've got tags. So you can actually add tags to a task. What's really great about it is that they're color coded. You can edit them. You can create your own. It makes it really visually easier to see, what's relative to you. And then underneath that, you can change the bucket of where the task lives. You can update its progress. You can set its priority. And then you've got the start and the due date. The due date, like I said before, is super key when you're trying to kind of hit that deadline and you want to be automatically reminded of that. Below that, you can write a description under the notes section. You can also create subtasks. So if you see the checklist section where Dasha is pointing to right now, you can actually create a bunch of different subtasks, which is really nice. You can have that automatically show on the task card. You can check them off individually. You can move them up and down based upon priority. So that's a really nice way. So to say if you've got a big task, you need to manage smaller things, it's a great way to do that. And then underneath that, you've got the ability to add an attachment. So we've got 3 different options here when you add an attachment. I think most folks here are probably going to add a URL to their DMS, like iManage, for example. So maybe a file that lives in iManage. They want to go grab that link. They can absolutely associate it or attach it here if they want. Or if you've got local files, you can upload it. Or if you've got files in SharePoint, you can absolutely put them here as well. And right underneath that, this is the coolest thing actually for me. I love this. This is the comment section, and it's a running history of the comments. So you can make a comment every time you update something on the task, and it gives you the entire history of all the comments. So it's really great to see and understand context of where the task started and where it's kind of come to. So love, love, love that feature. Perfect. And when you click out of the box, you don't even have to hit save, nothing. It automatically saves and that task is updated. So really, really cool stuff.
Perfect. Thank you, Rima, for
Sure.
For walking us through that. So I think tasks is a really, really powerful feature, and it really allows you to connect LawToolBox and the deadlines that we're tracking with the more person-to-person deadlines that really kind of make the bigger part of what we're really looking to do. So thank you so much, Rima.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so one of the most important parts of what's happening in the world of Teams is this ability to be working at a desk and then needing to jump in your car and go to an appointment and transfer the device to your phone. so it's not just all of the team's collaboration on documents and checking in and out and version control and history and protection with all the security, but it's also this mobility that you get when you can move around and transfer from, watching this webinar right now on your computer and just say, oh, I'm going to head somewhere. I'm going to finish watching it on my phone. So LawToolBox works seamlessly inside of Teams on your phone and on any device. And I'm just going to see if we've got a little GIF that should activate for us. Here we go. So this is what LawToolBox looks like when you're on the go. You can, as you can see, there's links to documents. We have a form over here on this one that I'm pointing to. I just paused it a little bit. This means that you can, whether it's a merger and acquisition deal that you're super nervous about, or a litigation matter that outside counsel has shared some of these deadlines to you, all of this information is accessible to you whenever you need it, whether you're at a kid's soccer game on a Saturday and it's coming up tomorrow, or whether you're on the go. And all of this is on whatever device, securely protected through Microsoft. I'm going to jump to the next portion of our presentation. It'll be very brief because we want to leave time for Q&A, and I know we're running short. Dasha, if you don't mind taking over. One of the most important parts of LawToolBox and Microsoft together is this workspace that you have with your, not just your, with your outside counsel, but also with, parties that are involved in your case that are outside of the Office of General Counsel, but they are in your tenant. You don't want them to see all of the ongoing conversations regarding sensitive legal matters or leases, or if you're doing internal, external litigation. But by having a built-in, on-the-fly, multi-factor authenticated, no guest access required workspace that no IT needs to go create. It just happens natively, leveraging your Microsoft platform and all the security put in place. And now you have an external workspace that, whether your client, whether your expert is using Gmail, or whether you're outside counsel, you can drag and drop all of the different documents. They can drag and drop documents, and they don't have to have a Microsoft subscription, and there's absolutely no guest access required. So yes, Dasha, do you want to just add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I want to look at is the Acme Smith construction matter that we've been working on this whole time. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have our two external channels. And as Carol-Lynn mentioned, you do not have guest access. So this is purely for file sharing purposes. And right now I want to show you the outside counsel experience with our Gmail attorney.
And yeah, and just to clarify, we do have plenty of clients that do enable guest access for certain types of matters with their outside counsel. But what you're about ready to see here is a scenario where you don't need guest access, because you have to think through a lot of different things. This is just a simple workspace.
Yeah, so with LawToolBox, you're able to file share this particular channel, and we've already done that for our Gmail attorneys. So I'm just going to show you the Gmail experience. So as you can see, we have an email that our attorney Jean Contoso has shared with our outside counsel. And this is going to take us through the secure SharePoint site. So right now it's going to click open, and the recipient is going to have to verify the identity. So that way the link only is activated for the people it was intended to. So on the next screen, it does send a multi-factor authentication code to verify that your email is the person that you say you are. So if I go back to my inbox, you can see we've just received a code. So again, very secure validation to actually access those documents through SharePoint. And at any point in time, our in-house counsel can always revoke access for this particular Gmail user, and they'll no longer see any of these documents that we've uploaded a few minutes ago.
So I love that. And so some of your outside counsel are sharing these workspaces to you. And if they're doing litigation for you, they may set a case for trial, and they get an instant option to send you a report of all those deadlines. to send you some of those deadlines or appearances or depots onto your calendar and manage that for you. But vice versa, what we're showing you right now is you sharing a workspace out to them, because if they don't have LawToolBox, and perhaps it's a cost-effective instant way for you to have the convenience of managing it. So goes both directions, depending on whether they already have LawToolBox in play for them and have that instant management of their calendar. So the only other things I think, Dasha, that would be cool for you to point out, you know, if you do need to capture time, because different departments need to know how much of your precious legal hours are being spent to manage, you know, an issue in the HR department or the manufacturing, because you need to pass through costs. We allow for time capture, advanced search. If you want to just pop over to the action menu maybe for a second, we have the ability, when you're using Microsoft and LawToolBox together, and let's just click on that waffle. That we're not going to go search right now, but when an end user in the legal department clicks the search button, it is searching everything that person, you know, we'll say assistant general counsel, that person has access to, will surface up everything in chats and emails and attachments and conversations and calendars. And because we're just leveraging the Microsoft search. And we all know search is one of the most important things for lawyers and for legal departments. Obviously, we leverage time. You know, you can manage time, you can run all of the different reports, and you've got, you know, the ability to really understand, you know, the costs and what's going on in your organization. So I'm going to take over screen sharing and do a little bit of wrap up so we have time for Q&A. So let's see if I can get this done properly this time. Here we go. And I will pick the correct screen. And security and data governance, you've heard us say, you know, what we hear from, you know, your client, your vendors, the outside counsel, is, you know, data governance over policies related to Teams and chat and documents. So our system lives in your M365 environment. Your IT folks make decisions on data governance. They leverage the internal applications that Microsoft offers. They also leverage outside Teams governance products. We live within the constraints of all of those. So the beauty is that everything you're doing is designed as a suite for lawyers, whether you're on the corporate side or on the, you know, the law firm side. And the provisioning of teams and matters is all designed specifically by you, for you, with templates. And when your attorneys or the Office of General Counsel is, you know, transitioning to take a, you know, work on documents on their iPhone or Android, it's all using single sign-on with Office 365 and protected by Microsoft.
And Carol-Lynn, I just wanted to add really quickly. So we started our poll on kind of the journey of different clients to Teams. And what I really want to highlight is that everyone is really looking to grow within the next 2 years. So I think what we're seeing in the numbers is that not a lot of people are at 50% or more, but a lot of you are in that 25% or less and really want to get to 50 or more within the next 2 years. So I think that's a really interesting statistic, and that goes in line with exactly what we've been hearing in the community as well.
That's awesome. So at the end of the session, you're going to get a link to this presentation. You know, give us several hours and we will provide you with the actual to the exact results based on each of those questions, because I know you're all just as curious as we are to see exactly how those numbers landed. And I'm going to hand it over to Rima to kind of wrap us up just very briefly. I'll say, what does it take, you know, to use our product? If you have Microsoft Teams or you're enabled so that you can get it, that's all there is. You don't install anything, you just enable it. There's absolutely no footprint. So to get started, all you do is you identify your team's templates. You enable it by turning it on in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You can do it for a subset of your group, and you don't have to open up any new procurement system, because we are part of your Microsoft invoice. We write on your EA agreement, and that's been announced in some big ways, and I'm going to hand it over to Rima to take it for the rest.
Yeah, all I wanted to say is that hybrid work is really here to stay. We've seen that with how much growth we've had in Microsoft Teams being one of the most popular collaboration products on the planet. And we just encourage you, hey, we want you to pick the right solutions to help your attorneys work really collaboratively and effectively in this new world of work and this new way we work. And so that's why, you know, we're really big fans of LawToolBox and what they offer, because we want to make things easier and better for folks here. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rima. Thank you, Dasha. Thank you, Ngoc. I'll just wrap by saying, you know, please feel free to, you've got our contact information on the site below, and you can see who's all been here in attendance. We'd love to help you either try it out or do a one-on-one demo and talk about how organizations like yours have been automating the templates and the Matter platforms and the calendaring based on what you've got going on in your organization. So thank you so much. And we'll share the results of the polls in the PowerPoint after our session today.